Have you ever noticed that the most dangerous individuals in the financial world are rarely the ones who inherited their wealth? They are the ones who started with absolutely nothing. When you put a human being in a state of absolute financial zero, their brain usually does one of two things. It either accepts defeat and adopts a permanent victim mindset, or it triggers a massive psychological rebellion. Building an empire from dirt is not about luck. It is about a severe cognitive rewiring. Today, we are going to deeply understand the exact mental framework of people who actually get rich from zero. The first massive psychological shift is the weaponization of scarcity. Ordinary people look at an empty bank account and feel completely paralyzed by fear. But the self-made mind experiences a dark, liberating realization. When you have absolutely nothing to lose, you are no longer bound by the fear of falling. You can take aggressive, calculated risks because your baseline is already at zero. You do not view poverty as a permanent cage. You view it as the ultimate psychological leverage to outwork, outsmart, and outlast people who grew up incredibly comfortable. The next invisible trait is absolute environmental detachment. If you are born into poverty, your surrounding environment is constantly feeding you a narrative of extreme limitation. People around you complain about the economy, blame the system, and accept a life of quiet desperation. To get rich from zero, you have to perform a brutal psychological amputation. You must physically live in a low-income reality while completely isolating your mind from its toxic conditioning. You stop taking advice from the people around you, and you begin operating on a completely different intellectual frequency. Then comes the mastery of asymmetrical risk. Society teaches you that starting a business or investing money is incredibly dangerous. But when you start from zero, your brain redefines danger. You realize that the absolute greatest risk is working 40 hours a week for 40 years just to barely survive. You become entirely comfortable with the discomfort of the unknown, because the familiar pain of staying broke terrifies you infinitely more than the temporary sting of failure. Another powerful behavioral marker is the use of dark motivation. Positive affirmations and visionary dreams rarely build self-made millionaires. True empires built from zero are usually fueled by the heavy memory of humiliation, disrespect, and the absolute terror of ever going back to the bottom. You do not grind for 14 hours a day just to buy a luxury car. You do it to build an iron fortress between yourself and the pain of your past. Finally, these individuals possess an absolute obsession with execution over perfection. They do not wait for perfect moments. They understand that competence is built through rapid, messy action. They launch, they fail, they adapt, and they scale. Getting rich from absolute zero is entirely a brutal psychological war. Money simply follows the most ruthless and unbroken human minds.